Hi guys, thank you and welcome to our next video series. We're going to be talking to three students about housing. So could you please introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Colin Finnegan. I'm a 3L and I'm originally from Morris, Illinois.
I'm Valeria Carvajal. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas, and I'm a 2L.
I'm Emily Liker. I am a 3L and I am from Hays, Kansas.
Awesome. Could you all please describe the housing situation in Lawrence, or if you live in Kansas City, or if you commuted? I'm not sure for each of you, so if you could all please describe housing.
Yeah, so I have lived in Lawrence all 3 years, and I had never been to Lawrence prior to doing my visits and coming here. So what I did was just, I think in July or June before school started, I just went to Lawrence and found a bunch of places online, and there's really great places to live. It's not super expensive. I decided to live alone for all 3 years, but I know that several people live together. And one of the ways that if you're looking for a roommate and you can't find one would be to post on Facebook and find roommates. But I think there's so much housing that I get that it's a big deal, but it's not something that you really need to stress out about because there's so many places to live here.
So I also had never been to Lawrence before I moved to law school, or before I decided. So my dad and I just took a trip. I looked up some places online, kind of see what was within my budget. It's close to school. At home, I commuted about 30 minutes, so the commute wasn't that big of a deal for me. So in Lawrence, I commute about 13 minutes to school, which isn't too bad, except maybe when it's snowing a little bit. I guess it just depends on whether you have a vehicle. You can kind of go out a little bit further than the apartments that are right around the law school. I know a few people that live, like I don't know, it's like a 10-minute walk maybe from the law school. So it just depends on what your transportation situation is.
I have a pretty similar story. So I had never been to Lawrence before law school either. So I also just kind of looked online, came to Lawrence to scope some things out. I lived by myself for the first 2 years of law school. And then for my last year of law school, I've moved to a new apartment with a law school classmate of mine. Definitely when I was looking for apartments, I wish that I would have looked on the Facebook page because there's a lot of valuable information on there on the admitted students Facebook page. There's current law students on there who are, advertising their apartments for sublease, looking for roommates. Current students are super willing to give advice and kind of name some apartments that they've had good or bad experiences with. So that's definitely a really good resource if you are kind of struggling to find a place.
Awesome. Do you have any feelings about living in Lawrence versus Kansas City? I mean, I know that there are a lot of students that do commute. Do you know any in your class? Any of you?
Yeah. Well, Emily and I were in the same small section. We had several people that are non-traditional students that would commute from anywhere from like Overland Park to Kansas City, which can be anywhere between like a 30-minute to 45 minutes to an hour away. I think it's definitely more convenient, everyone would say, to live in Lawrence. However, if you want to live closer to Kansas City or if you have family up there, I think, I don't know, probably just spitballing 10% at least, maybe a little more, maybe a little less of our class commutes in from that. It's not a bad drive at all, and it's certainly doable.
My 1L mentee in the 3L to 1L mentorship program that KU does, she actually commutes every day from Kansas City. And she actually finds it to be kind of helpful for studying purposes because it kind of forces her to be at the law school from 9 to 5 like a job. So she's focused. She's at the law school already, so she might as well study. She's not easily tempted to go home and just kind of watch TV. So I agree with what Colin says. I think it's probably easier to live in Lawrence, but it's definitely, living in Kansas City has its perks too. And I wouldn't say that, you have to live in Lawrence.
All right, thanks everyone, and we will be back with more in our series.